Inflated like bubble gum. Markets are jumping like double dutch. Buying up gold till I get a ton. Crypto, yeah, I got some.
All right, welcome to the Runners Live. It is Tuesday, June 14th, 2022. We are going to tell you guys why today, right now, is the best time to get wealthy. Let me bring in my good brother, Ricardo Hamilton, aka Crypto Rick. What's going down, my man? How you feeling?
Yeah, you know it. Constantly, continuously, consistently building wealth in precious metal assets and crypto, man. Everything we've been telling the people, they starting to realize and see it's coming true. And it feels good to know that we have been consistently practicing the right habits to secure our future and hedge against this financial crisis and inflation that we're seeing right now.
And guys, we got a lot to bring in today, and we want to get started right away. Real quick, the market caps, again, just to document this, gold is the number one asset in the world at 11.5 trillion. The price is 1,800 right now about. And we have oil, Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, Google. And then silver at number 6 at $21. What a steal right now silver is. Bitcoin has dropped all the way down to 16. So the crypto markets, like we said months ago, guys, I hope you guys listened and have been tuning in. Okay. We started telling our team in December to start exiting the market. And we said, I think in February or March, and May go away. So our community has been kind of out of the market for a while. I think we're down to under $1 trillion in market cap, and Bitcoin's down to 22,000, ETH to 1,200. So again, not financial advice, but Ricardo, as I told the team and said on our lives, as I would probably, you can buy a little bit of crypto. We'll talk about that along the way, but I would hold off on any major purchases probably till about September. I see Bitcoin definitely going under 20, probably around to 12 grand. And there's even some people saying it could even go to 7 or 8. So anything you want to add, just the assets and the state of the crypto market right now?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously we're going through some turbulent times. We're in uncharted territory. We've never been in this position before, ever, in any period of time in history. I mean, you can go back to 2008, Y2K, 87, Great Depression. We're in something that the world has never seen before. And that's why I've been telling people that we are living in the most significant time period in history. And this is why I say that if you didn't come from a wealthy family, this is the opportunity to make sure that a wealthy family comes from you. I don't care about the price of these assets because I know the value of them. So while people are running around with their heads cut off, like they feel like they've lost money, I don't look and value my wealth in dollars. I value my wealth in quantity, right? How much of a particular asset do I have? I value my wealth in ounces, right? How much, physical silver or gold or, the weight that I have, because we understand what's going on. The dollar is becoming more and more worth less, like it has always been since the inception of the dollar in 1913 with the Federal Reserve. And when you have assets priced in dollars, you're always going to have this, imbalance when it comes to the real price discovery of these assets. So you can't really go by price. That's why you go by value. And so right now, most people know that those who are acquiring physical gold, physical silver, the right cryptocurrencies are the ones who are going to be building lasting generational wealth. So, it's a phenomenal and exciting time. There are scary times ahead, but, we've been telling people for a very long time now how to have a good defensive and offensive strategy for what's to come.
100%, Ricardo. And what we're going to do now, guys, is really just walk through the 3 steps you need to do to become wealthy. Okay, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a get wealthy slowly plan that's consistent. And the biggest, struggle I have, Ricardo, is people will come up to me or former students. They're like, how do I get started? What do I do? I don't have a lot of money to invest. People kind of have this idea of like, they need to save up $10,000 and then chuck it into the market at one time. That's the exact opposite of what you want to do. So I have these written out here. We'll just kind of go through them one at a time, Ricardo. And the first one is, this is it, guys. Buy at least, this is how I started. Buy at least 1 ounce of silver a month. That's it. You can get an ounce of silver for $30 to $35 a month. I don't care if you're an 18-year-old working at McDonald's. Drink a few less Monsters. Drive slower in your car. Save some gas money. get some pop bottles. Okay. You can afford $35 a month. And we have a business that we use for this to do this and automate that process. That's in the app that you guys can find down below this video. Ricardo, your thoughts on how important it is to just start today with that baby step and just do it consistently.
Yeah, it's the simple things that you do in your life habitually that lead up to your lifestyle. It's those conscious and subconscious, consistent things that you're doing over time that lead to the result where you find yourself now. And one of the things that the wealthy do is they build wealth on a consistent basis. They accumulate assets on a consistent basis. They convert their depreciating dollars into assets on a consistent basis. They have their money work harder for them than they had to work for it. They find ways to make money in their sleep. And, one of the best defensive strategies that you can have to make sure that you have money, that you have assets, that you have some type of financial security is saving at least, at bare minimum, 1 ounce of silver a month. I mean, that is very doable. It's something that literally everybody should be doing because everybody should save money. But the problem is most people don't know what money is. When they say save money, people think about saving dollars. But the problem is the dollar is not money. The dollar is a unit of debt. It is a note. It is legal tender, but it's not money, right? It's fiat currency. So when we say save money, you should be converting your fiat currency into money, which is at least at bare minimum getting 1 ounce of silver every single month. That's how you build wealth. That's how you convert a liability into an asset. And that's what we've been telling people for a very long time. Measure your wealth in ounces, not dollars.
That's it, guys. It's just living by core principles that the wealthy do. Just incorporate those as habits and put it on autopilot. So that's why we work with multiple businesses to allow our communities to do this, and we can all profit from it. All right, so number 2, okay, very simple. Set up a recurring buy of at least $50 a month in crypto. If you're new to crypto, I would start with Bitcoin. And don't worry, it's not about timing the market. That's what everyone's about. Like someone just texted me today. Bitcoin's down right now. Is it no good anymore? No, this is a market cycle, and Bitcoin has 4-year market cycles. So it's going to be going down for a little bit longer, and then we're going to have what's called the halvening, and then the price of Bitcoin will start going up again, and then all the other coins will follow. This is what's happened. This is, I think, the 4th cycle now. So don't worry, again, like Ricardo said, don't worry about what the market's doing. Okay, you don't have to become a cryptocurrency expert and look at charts and all this stuff. Just consistently buy at least $50 a month. You can set this up on crypto.com. I buy $100 worth of Bitcoin every week. That's it. Just consistent. I wish I had started that. I wish somebody would have told me this when I got into crypto, because I wasted and got scammed a lot. I wasted money on coins that weren't really good because I was trying to get rich quick. So again, it just comes down to consistency, because consistency always wins. So Ricardo, your thoughts on encouraging people to just take this first step and set up this recurring buy?
Yeah. Well, Henry Ford said, and I'll paraphrase, if the American people ever understood the present banking and financial, monetary system, there'll be a revolution by tomorrow morning. And once again, the problem is that people don't understand the monetary system. They don't understand what the dollar is. They don't understand the credit and the debt system. And when you come to the realization of that, you want to exit that as soon as possible. So that's why it's important that any cash that you do have, especially for saving and investing, that you get it out of the dollar immediately, and you get it out of dollar-denominated financial instruments, because the wealthy and the elite continue to confiscate your wealth through engineered market crashes that happen every decade or so. It's a way they transfer wealth. It's a confiscation or transfer of wealth. And when you're in their casino, in their dollar-denominated financial instruments, you're going to lose. But when you take your money outside of the system, when you take I use money, but you all know what I'm talking about. When you take your dollars outside of the system, okay, and you convert it into an asset like gold and silver that have zero third-party counter risk, that are tier 1 assets, okay, zero risk associated to them, will never go to zero. okay, you're doing something that they don't want you to do, which is putting yourself in position to be independent and build wealth and always make sure that you have something of value while they want to take everything from you. And it's the same thing with crypto. So once again, you have to do things habitually. You should be consistently, constantly, continuously acquiring a certain amount of crypto every single month, right? Even if it's $50 a month in Bitcoin on crypto.com or wherever you get it, consistently converting your liability into asset. That's what it is. That's all the game is. Turn liabilities into assets. That's how you build wealth. Okay. So turn your liability, which is the US dollar, and convert it into assets, which is gold, silver, and crypto.
Facts. All right, hold on. I'm checking something here to see. Oh yeah. Can't wait to show you guys this. Okay. Number 3. Purchase one collectible coin a month. 90% of the people in the world have no idea about this. Okay, guys? We're talking about numismatic coins. All right. This is one of my favorite. It's a Hunters by Night owl. All right. I got this for $4.99. It is the current market value, I think, is around $1,400. Okay. The bullion is defense. Okay. The crypto is a new speculative industry, right? That obviously is much more risky. What we're talking about here is what the rich and the wealthy do. Look, this coin is beautiful. So this is commemorating the 80th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. And, you know, that's it, guys. You know, there's the $1.2 million mistake. All you needed to do was buy one silver American Eagle a month, an MS-70. So similar to this. I don't think I have one here, but it'd be very similar to this. Okay. One of those a month since 1986. If you had just done that one time a month since 1986, today that portfolio would be over 1.6 million actually now. So before I hand this over to Ricardo, I just want to show them that coin I just showed him, Ricardo, is that Miles Standish USS Arizona selling for $453 market value. Actually, the lowest right now is $500. So I think we paid around 200-ish, if I remember correctly. And you can see here, you know, from my account that this is the offensive strategy. Even though the spot price of silver it's really gone down recently, but my market value of the coins I have in my stack and sell is up 50%. So this is the runner's 3-step approach to getting wealthy, right? Number 3, purchase one collectible coin a month. Ricardo, how important is it for the normal people to start doing what the wealthy's doing today?
Yeah, I mean, most people heard this term before. They say diversify, diversify, diversify. But when you're getting into gold and silver, most people don't know how to properly diversify in these asset classes. And so you have collectibles, you have bullion, you have government-struck coins, you have proofs, right? You have, you know, constitutional silver or junk silver. And so, you know, when you actually get educated and you actually starting to build wealth in real money, you do want to diversify in real money as well, because you want to have a good defensive strategy, which is bullion, but you also want to have a good offensive strategy, right? And so collectibles is your offensive strategy. It's your way of collecting an asset that has the ability to appreciate at a greater rate than, you know, the base metal or what the average price of the metal will go for, because it has rarity, because it has a story to it, because of its collectability, you know, because of its flawlessness, right? These are things that add another value to it that's greater than just it being, you know, gold and silver. And so it's one of those things where those who have been running with the runners and have been, since we've been collecting collectibles, have seen the benefit of. And you saw it earlier in the slide that Mike showed you, where his portfolio in collectibles is up 50%. So while a lot of people are complaining that, you know, crypto is down, the stock market is down, you know, a lot of fear in the markets, and it's justifiably so, folks, because it is going to get worse. But you can see here where collectibles that we have been collecting are up over 50%. right? So the wealthy just know, where to put their money. And it's what the middle class and poor don't know. And there's no difference. It's just that you didn't know, you didn't have access. Well, today there's no excuse. Now you know, and now you have access. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to make that consistent shift in your mindset and your actions to make sure you say, hey, this makes sense. I need to start getting at least 1 ounce of silver a month for a good defensive strategy. I need to start getting at least one collectible coin a month for a great offensive strategy. So you can actually have some peace of mind, because countless people, thousands of people that we've helped, okay, tens of thousands from our efforts, are realizing what we have been saying and benefiting from actually collecting and holding these real world assets. And I'm telling you folks, in the times that we're in right now, it's more important than ever that people start to convert their liabilities into assets and start to create cash flow for themselves. And that's why we've been recommending some of the best companies that you can find, solid companies here in the United States that deliver internationally, for you to be able to do that, accumulate these assets and create cash flow.
It's that simple, guys. And while Cole and Brandon reminded me, guys, if you are watching this, we appreciate you. We could not be here without you. Give us the hashtag Silver for Freedom in the comments to break this algorithm of suppression and tyranny. So hashtag Silver for Freedom in the comments. Hit the like button, share this out, send it to somebody, tag somebody in it, that needs to know this, that wants to start getting wealthy but just doesn't know where to start. So real quick, while everyone's putting those in, let's just recap really quick, Ricardo. Buy at least 1 ounce of silver a month. Okay, you're looking at, that's under $40, right? You can easily do that. Number 2, set up a recurring buy of crypto of at least $50 a month. Okay, so now we're up to $90 total. We're still under $100. And then number 3, purchase one collectible coin a month, which is right around $100. So for under $200, we are on the track to get wealthy. $200 a month. Now, I know not everyone can't do that. That's where you just start. Start with number 1 with the 1 ounce of silver. And as your mindset shifts and changes, you'll be amazed at what can happen, and how, if you really want to find $200 a month, you can. And, I would just say that that's not much to be diversified amongst these alternative investments. Ricardo, anything you want to add on just encouraging people to look at all 3 of these?
Hey, look, don't let our minimums be your maximum. Okay. We wanted to just show you guys, at bare minimum, what you can do. Like Mike said, if you're working, at fast food restaurant, this is a practical strategy that you can implement. Okay. We know what's going on in the economy. We know most people want to talk about money. They don't understand the value of gold and silver and why they should have it. But we're showing you with evidence, and we're giving you documentation and showing you that this is not something that we're just saying to say it. This is something that we're doing. This is something that we're benefiting from. This is something that our family, friends, and followers are benefiting from. So at bare minimum, this is a strategy that you can do. But obviously, the sky's the limit. It's up to you how much you want to start to convert your liabilities. How many of those liabilities, dollars, are you holding? And how much of them do you want to convert into assets? Don't let our minimums be your maximum. Like, take advantage. Now is the time, because it's just going to get worse, and it's just going to get better for those who are in the white assets.
And that's why this is the best time to get wealthy, guys, because the assets are down and most people are running scared. So this is the time to take action. And again, Ricardo, you reminded me, I'm keeping with my, and if you guys can't afford $50 of gold or silver, you can literally buy $1 worth. So I'm just getting in this habit of, every time we have a live, I'm going to buy at least $50 of gold. So I'm just going to go to transfer from my cash balance to my gold balance, $50, which is 0.024203 of gold. And that's going to be going to my Sound Money wallet. So now I'm up to 0.18 ounces of gold. So I'm just going to keep doing this slowly over time to get up to at least 1 ounce of gold in the Sound Money wallet. I can have it delivered anytime, but it just doesn't make sense for me to deliver that small amount. So I'm going to get at least an ounce and then I can get it delivered to me whenever I'm ready. All right, so Ricardo, what we want to do now is we're going to watch this short 10-minute clip from Jim Rickards, who's very well known and well respected economist and market player, hedge fund manager. And again, this isn't to scare anyone. It's to explain to you why now is the best time to get wealthy. So Ricardo, if you want to stop and make a comment at any time, just let me know and I can pause it.
Awesome.
Each crisis is more dangerous than the one before. So 1998, 2008, here we are in 2022. We're going to get to a point, we may be there, where the crisis is actually bigger than the Fed, bigger than the Fed's ability to stop. We are uncomfortably close. Now, it's impossible to know exactly how close because it's a complex dynamic system. And you can make very good predictions on complex dynamic systems as to the magnitude of the crisis, but it's very hard to get the exact timing. But I can say that we're uncomfortable because now we've been there twice before in recent years. 1998, we came within hours of shutting every market in the world. It began with a Russian default, by the way. August 17th, 1998, Russia defaulted on their external debt and the ruble was grossly devalued. That started a global liquidity crisis, went around the world, ended up in my lap at Long-Term Capital Management, where we had $1.4 trillion of derivatives. And everyone goes, oh, long-term capital, you guys lost a lot of money in Russia. We didn't. We lost maybe $100 million in Russia, but we lost closer to $4 billion on everything else. Because in a liquidity crisis, people sell everything. It's not a question of, do you have Russian bonds? It's like, no, they sell everything. Spreads widen, not enough collateral, margin calls, people being blown out of their positions. That's what a global financial crisis looks like. We cured that with a $4 billion all-cash injection sponsored by the Federal Reserve and 2 rate cuts, one on an emergency basis by Alan Greenspan. We got through that, but we came within hours of shutting every market in the world. Same thing in 2008. We all know, September 15th, 2008, Lehman Brothers. Okay. People don't realize that, Morgan Stanley was days away from failing. Goldman Sachs was days away from failing. John Mack said so at the time. He said, Lehman was begging for help. He said, sorry, I got enough on my plate. We're worried about Morgan Stanley right now. And then the Fed came in. And so think of it as dominoes are falling. So all the dominoes are falling and they're going to keep falling unless you truncate, drop a wall in. And that wall was the Fed. But here's my point. Each bailout gets bigger than the one before. Each crisis is more dangerous than the one before. You want assets that are going to be immune from a global liquidity crisis. What are they? Land, real estate, gold, silver, fine art. I see Andy Warhol, Marilyn Monroe has gone, they estimate $200 million.
So right there, Ricardo, a couple things I wanted to get your opinion on is, number one, they talked about the Russian rubles. So I'd like you to kind of explain to people what's happened with that, with gold. And then again, guys, it's not just us saying this. Jim Rickards, one of the most well-respected economists and hedge fund managers in the world. Almost everything that he said, we have in the Runners app. We have where you can buy real estate starting at $50 a pop on the blockchain, but you actually own the physical house. And that could be another one we add in there, actually, Ricardo, is $50 on the real estate for number 4. And fine art, right? That's what this is, and gold and silver. So, this is exactly what the rich and the wealthy do. So, Ricardo, your take on, the beginning of this video. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I mean, you got to listen to people. Okay, awesome. Yep. You got to listen to people who know what they're talking about. And obviously, Jim Rickards is well-respected economist, like you mentioned, Mike. He knows what he's talking about. And this is no secret. This is what the wealthy have been doing for a very, very long time. It's just the poor and middle class who didn't know anything about it because they told you to get into a 401k. They told you to rely on dollar-denominated financial instruments, which, they engineer market crashes and confiscate your wealth, every decade or so, or the next market crash. I mean, so, what we're doing here is we're really giving people the secrets of the wealthy. And that starts with sound money. Like Jim Rickards said, gold, silver, fine artwork. Well, that falls in line with the numismatic coins. I mean, collectibles. So, this is the thing that gets me excited is that, we're dealing with something, once again, that is a tier 1 asset where the Bank of International Settlements, which is the central bank for central banks, has labeled gold a tier 1 asset, which means there is zero risk associated with it. accepted 100% for value. And what you have with the Russian ruble here is that they have the best performing currency this year. And one of the major reasons why they have one of the best performing currencies this year is because the ruble is partially backed by gold. 5,000 rubles equals a gram of gold. So you see, they have done what the United States dollar, the reason why the dollar had value. The dollar had value internationally because it was backed by gold and silver. No longer is it backed by gold and silver, but now you see the ruble, 5,000 rubles, now backed by at least a gram of gold. That is very significant. You are seeing the de-dollarization, the de-pegging away from the dollar, where countries are dumping treasuries, dumping bonds, dumping dollars, and they're buying gold. They're doing bilateral trade agreements, and they're turning their liabilities into assets, and this is what you should be doing as well. You should do what they do, not what they say. And you should be getting as much physical silver and gold and crypto as you can during this economic global reset, this transition that we find ourselves in.
And this is a great comment here. I think they're in our Facebook group, so we can't see their name. But it says, these days you can't afford not to do this. Don't say you can't afford it. Ask yourself, how can I afford it? And guys, it always comes back to mindset. It's classic Rich Dad, Poor Dad from Robert Kiyosaki. Change your mindset, change your life. So if you're watching this later and you're saying, I can't afford this, you need to start focusing on your mindset first, which is why we also focus on that in the app. And yes, sir, Sean, Cole, I'll make sure I get this to you. I did post it in our group and Telegram. But let's keep going here, guys.
Could have bought that for 50,000 in the 1970s. That's a little more specialized, but there are natural resources, water, etc., energy, oil. If you want to be in stocks, okay, get stocks of companies that are based on natural resources. They're such as ExxonMobil, Chevron. I mean, I'm just giving these as an example. But there are a lot of ways to protect yourself. But a regular stock portfolio is not a good one, and banks are going to be in distress. Money market funds are going to be in distress. That's what the liquidity crisis is. I point out that the dollar has been a cryptocurrency since at least 1979. That was the last year the Treasury issued a paper Treasury note. Like you had a note, maybe somebody's grandmother still has an old one in the attic, but they had little. Almost like stamps, like you peel off a coupon and take it down the bank and get paid. The last time they did that was 1979. So the dollar's been digital, and message traffic has been encrypted since around 1980. But I think in terms of the impact on the dollar, this is be careful what you wish for. And this was exactly what I was saying earlier in terms of second and third order effects. And I warned the Pentagon about this, and I warned the Treasury about this, because I know how economic sanctions work. I've been very involved in that from point of view of the intelligence community and also advising the government, but they can be powerful. But if you use them too much and too broadly, they actually lose all their impact, because the people you're targeting say, well, okay, no mas, I'm out of the dollar system. You've done it one too many times. And this is an example of that. We've never frozen a central bank before. We have now. We've never kicked an entire country out of SWIFT, with the exception of Iran, but that's a much more isolated case. We have now with Russia. And so instead of just sitting there saying, oh, gee, you got me, we can say, okay, let's go to a new payment system. Let's pick up a new currency. The Saudis are saying the same thing. And all of a sudden, if you're one of the top princes of Saudi Arabia, maybe Mohammed bin Salman, or any of the top princes, you have a yacht in Monaco, you have a house in Aspen, you have who knows how many houses and palaces and yachts around the world, private jets, and they're like, actually, all that stuff could be seized, because that's what we're doing to the Russian oligarchs. And by the way, it's not limited to oligarchs. We saw this kind of neo-fascism in Canada very recently with Chrystia Freeland, who's the deputy prime minister, freezing the bank accounts and the crypto wallets of the truckers. Canada went so far as to criminalize it. If you supported the truckers under a recent interpretation of Canadian law through Chrystia Freeland, the deputy prime minister, that's a criminal act. So I told Justin, I said, come and get me. But my point being, so she's seizing the accounts of blue collar truck drivers, and Biden's seizing the accounts of oligarchs. But it's the same thing. okay, blue collar, multi-billionaire. But it's the same thing. Suddenly, Canada and the U.S., two of the number one, I think number 5 economy in the world, number 6 maybe, have frozen Canadian dollar and U.S. dollar accounts of people they don't like.
So I know we talked about this last week, Ricardo. Your thoughts on what this means to people and why we do what we do because of this information that we now have.
Yeah, I mean, once again, it's like I said earlier. Henry Ford said, "Look, if the American people understood the present banking, financial, and monetary system, there would be a revolution by tomorrow morning." And I mean, so the government and the central banks, they're making decisions that affect your standard of living, your projections for your retirement, and what you're going to do and how you're going to do it and what you're going to buy and how you're going to eat and live. And if you don't understand what they're doing, if you don't understand the ramifications of it and have a plan, a strategy to hedge against it, then it's war to you, and a lot of people are going to get wiped out because of their lack of knowledge and financial literacy to what's taking place. So that's why it's so important that people understand that when they see the government doing certain things, giving away money, stimulus, giving away money to Ukraine, or just printing dollars, that there's no such thing as a free lunch, that there are ramifications domestically and internationally, for those actions. There's cause and effect, causation. And when people start to realize that, to make more sound decisions with their liabilities and turn them into assets. And this is what we have been trying to wake people up to for quite some time now, and it's becoming more real as time goes on. And so it feels good to know that we're on the right track, but there's so many people who just haven't took that first step to say, let me just get $50 worth of Bitcoin, or let me get at least 1 ounce of silver. And so a lot of people have, but there are a lot of people who just aren't. But we can see that there are going to be more, tyrannical type of legislation coming down the line and capital controls as the crisis get worse. And we want people to have as many options, as much cash flow and passive incomes as possible, so they don't have to acquiesce to the type of present system or new world order that they're trying to create, where you have no say and you're going to own nothing and be happy.
Perfectly said. And guys, at this point, this is why gold and silver are so amazing, because there is zero counterparty risk. If they can take stuff from oligarchs in Russia and blue collar workers in Canada, none of us are safe.
Now, you can say it's for good reason, and Putin should have invaded Ukraine. I get it. But if you're a Saudi prince, if you're certainly Russian, if you're a Chinese oligarch, how comfortable are you with the dollar right now? I haven't met him personally, by the way, but I checked him out. Looks like a thoroughly bright guy. But other than carrying Larry Fink's briefcase for a few months, I mean, he's a year maybe, he's never had a job outside of academia or government. So he doesn't really understand the real world and doesn't understand what we're discussing right now. So the answer to the question was that they didn't think this through. They don't understand these knock-on effects. They don't understand how the international monetary system actually works. They don't understand the blowback. I mean, I'll give you another example. This one has received some publicity. So we throw all kinds of sanctions on Russia. So Russia said, okay, we're going to stop our exports, Russian exports of strategic metals and chemicals and other elements that everyone else needs for inputs in their manufacturing processes. And they put a ban on exports of nickel. Well, okay, so you need nickel to make batteries, so good luck with your electric vehicles. So U.S. throws sanctions on Russia. Russia retaliates by banning nickel exports. The price of nickel goes to the moon.
So guys, this is so huge. And we talked about this on the Runners Live a few weeks ago. But when this happened in nickel, what they did is they shut down the market. They reversed the trades from the people that made millions of dollars when nickel took off like that. That's what they can do when you don't have your physical metals and it's just a paper fake ETF spot price. And they closed the market of nickel for an entire week, and they reset the price to a different level and basically robbed the traders. And I think this is what's going to happen with at least silver, if not gold. Ricardo, anything you want to add just about, the market's being manipulated, and if you don't have physical, if you don't hold it, you don't own it?
Yeah. This is why you want to have the physical asset. You know, stored in a safe, private vault. You know, however you can get it, you want to get it, you want to hold it, you want to lock it down, because there might come a time where you won't be able to get it. You know, this is a strategic metal. The rules are being rewritten. You know, the parameters that we were once working on are totally changing. And so what some things you might be taking for granted is your access and ability to acquire these assets, or, you know, create additional income. You know, you don't want to wait until you need something and don't have it. You want to have it and not need it. You know, it's like hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And so it's just important that you get the physical assets ASAP, as soon as possible, and hold it. Not paper contracts, not ETFs, not certificates, but the physical metal itself.
Big
It
time.
went up by a factor of 4 or 5. That's really not surprising. London Metal Exchange fell down. They had to
Also,
close.
yeah.
Okay. But who lost? There was a Chinese billionaire who owns one of the largest nickel mining operations in the world, who lost, I think, $5 or $6 billion. So here's Russia and the U.S. fighting an economic war, and the loser pops up in China. That wasn't on his radar screen, and that wasn't on anybody else's radar screen. But it's a good example where the damage shows up when you don't expect it. Russia had about 600 tons of gold, and today they have 2,300 tons.
So think about that, guys. Russia went from 600 tons less than a decade ago to 2,300 tons right now. They are preparing. They know what's happening. They're smart. They're intelligent. This is what we're trying to convince and show your average American. Well, actually, I forget, we're international. You know, your average person anywhere in the world, that they need to start doing it.
China had about 600 tons of gold, and today they have about 2,000 tons, just slightly less, that we know of. And they may have several thousand tons off the books in the State Administration of Foreign Exchange that we don't know about, because that's completely opaque. So Russia and China did exactly what we warned the Pentagon about in 2009, exactly, which is increase their gold reserves by a factor of 4.
And I mean, there it is, guys. What we say all the time, the rich and the wealthy are getting the precious metals in their own possession. Ricardo, anything you want to add when it comes to Russia and China forexing their gold reserves in the last 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, so they knew what was coming. They knew this for a long time. And so, you know, they've been, like I said, preparing. This is not something new. They've been buying more gold than they ever have at any period in time in history. Been buying more silver than they ever have in any period of time in history. Central banks have been buying more gold and silver than they ever have in any period of time in history. And they know this is nothing new. The crisis that we're in right now, the loss of confidence in the dollar, you know, saying the chaos in the markets, it's all been foretold. And so the governments have been preparing. It's just the average person who had no idea and didn't have a strategy for it. But now they do. And it's just about them implementing it so they can get ahead and secure their financial future.
Yeah, and I'll post the video here in just a minute, guys.
Or more. But everyone's like, well, the Chinese yuan is going to be the global reserve currency. No, it's not going to be the ruble. But here's why. Well, there are a lot of reasons, but the main reason is when you talk about reserve currency, you have to understand what that means. It's not like the People's Bank of China has a bunch of $100 bills on pallets stacked up in the basement. When people say reserve currency, what they really mean is the currency of the bonds that they invest in. In other words, they're dollar-denominated assets in the form of treasury bonds or notes. That's what China actually has on their books, not like dollars per se. So if you want to suggest or hypothesize that the Chinese yuan is going to replace the US dollar as a global reserve currency, where's the yuan bond market? I mean, it doesn't exist. Very small scale, very liquid, no primary dealers, no when issue trading, no auctions, no repo, no settlement clearance, none of the plumbing and the mechanics of a mature bond market such as the United States. And above all, they don't have a rule of law. I mean, at least if somebody reneges on a treasury bond, you can sue somebody, but you can't do that in China. So the absence of the rule of law, number one, the absence of the infrastructure, the plumbing, for want of a better word, are two reasons why the yuan and certainly the ruble will not replace the dollar as a reserve currency. However,
So I think that's important to note, guys. And I think in this space, we bash on the dollar too much. We don't necessarily want to save in it, but we need to use it and we need to leverage it. And I don't think it's going away. Now, is inflation going to keep happening? Is it going to keep buying less? Of course. But compared to other currencies, it's actually doing very well right now. So we're not here for doom and gloom and the dollar's going to explode or anything, but you got to know what the rich and the wealthy are doing. And like he said, China does not have the infrastructure or the rule of law to even become the world's reserve currency, or Russia. So Ricardo, your take on what Jim had to say there. I can't hear you right now.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
Oh,
So
you're
it's
good.
just, yeah. Once again, it's just, knowing, what you didn't know. Understanding that, you've heard China might be the world reserve currency and all that. Well, now you're hearing it from, expert himself, Jim Rickards, saying, it's not plausible. They just don't have the conditions in place to even make that happen. And no, the dollar won't go away. I mean, even, in Venezuela, they're experiencing hyperinflation, but they still have the currency. It's just, do you have enough of it to buy any goods or resources or services? Zimbabwe, I mean, the currency will inflate. It's still going to be around, but when you value it against the assets, it's those who have the assets that are going to build wealth, that are going to have a better standard of living than those who don't. And now they're suffering with the new reality that they need way more dollars than they thought to just even maintain the decent standard of living that they had in the past.
Absolutely, 100%. All right, we're almost done here.
what I was hypothesizing then, and I'd come back to this, is you can create a brand new currency that does have all that stuff. And in my example, they used a Swiss bank, UK law, put the gold in a third-party depository. If you wanted some of the new currency, you could deposit your own gold and get some of the currency or trade with them around a surplus. So it was a replacement system, but you would need the gold to instill confidence. But they don't have bond markets, so they're not going to have them soon. So the yuan and the ruble aren't going to replace anything.
Yep. All right, that is it, guys. It's all right there. We know what's going to happen. We have a plan. Now is the best time to get wealthy. Ricardo, your final take tonight.
Yeah, I mean, look, gold and silver have been money since the times of Egypt. It has seen wars, financial crisis, plagues, pandemics, you name it, okay? It always will have value. Whether you're in Africa, Asia, Europe, Americas, it is money. It will always be money. It is constitutional money, Article 1, Section 10. It is biblical money. It's God's money from the book of Genesis to the book of Revelations, okay? And so the question is, why don't most people understand the role that gold has had throughout history? When you look at wars were fought over gold. When you really follow the yellow brick road and you understand that they have took your wealth from you by giving you pieces of paper that used to represent money, which was gold, they were certificates, and now they're nothing but units of debt that tie you to a debt-based fiat slavery 2.0 system, right? And realizing that you can actually begin to free yourself from this debt-based fiat system by converting those liabilities into assets that at one point in time you couldn't even get. Now you have access to them. So this is why I say that if you didn't come from a wealthy family, this is the opportunity to make sure a wealthy family comes from you. This is why I say this is the greatest time period in history, because never before in history have we had access to so much information and education and access to these resources and the ability to actually chart out our own course and destiny. And so these are the most significant times ever. And it's very important that people understand that and start to do something that has probably not been done in their family or that they didn't think that they can do themselves. And it starts by just understanding and learning and changing your mindset and converting liabilities into assets on a constant, continuous, consistent basis.
That's it, guys. get started, take the first step, stop saying someday and start saying day one. I'm sorry, stop saying one day and start right now. Day one, this is it. Get disciplined, start stacking your assets. Assets are down. This is the best time to invest and have, some cash ready for when the markets do come down. And those are the people that are going to win in the greatest wealth transfer in human history. Couple things before we head out. If people were asking about that video, if you want to find it, just go to YouTube, and it's from Free Investing. So just Google or put in the YouTube search. We entered the most dangerous crisis. Prepare now. Jim Rickards' last warning. And if you guys appreciate us and what we're doing and want to support our community, you can go to therunners.shop. Therunners.shop, get shirts, mugs, women's hoodies, got all sorts of stuff, just kind of spreading that mindset and lifestyle of breaking free from the system, taking the red pill, and getting these amazing alternative assets that can help secure your wealth and your future. Thank you, everyone, for jumping on and supporting us tonight. Cooper, couldn't agree more. Best time to save. And as Tyson's saying here, get your S with the runners. All right. So you guys, wherever you're watching this, YouTube, Facebook, just look down below, download the app. Ricardo's runwithrick.com. Mine is changenowapp.com. Free app. Get in there. See the systems we're leveraging to do this. We have how-to videos on how to do this. And Raquel, thank you for coming on and sharing it with a few people. We're just here to help as many people as possible. Our mission and goal is really to help change the world one family at a time. Marindia, I'm going to go with. I think might be from Australia. Thanks for jumping on. I saw we had Cole from Australia as well. So Ricardo, are we good?
Hey, folks, look, lace up. Let's get wealthy. Running with the runners.
Peace.